Stars are whispering tales of old, planets spinning, stories bold. Life is dancing through the night, countless worlds in the starlight. Galaxies full of mystery, infinite in their history. Beyond our dreams and our sights, life blooms in the cosmic lights, dancing on the edge of space. Take me away, feeling the universal grace. In the dark our hearts ignite, life across the endless night. Nebulas with colors bright, birth new wonders in the light. Comets trail their sparkling tears, life endures through the years. In the silence of the void, every heartbeat is enjoyed. From the depths and to the heights, life expands through cosmic night. Dancing on the edge of space, and off we go, feeling the universal grace. In the dark our hearts ignite, life across the endless night. Dancing on the edge of space, and off we go, feeling the universal grace. In the dark our hearts ignite, life across the endless night.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Skyter Livestream. I'm Mark D'Antonio, sitting alone at the mic tonight. Daryl won't be joining us. I guess he's got things to do tonight. Just wanted to say, that he's always welcome, as always. And tonight, I figured we'll start off with some comets, and they've got a couple of objects I think might be really, really exciting to look at a little bit later. And we're going to check those out in just a little bit. Right now, this green blur you see on the screen, it is green, it's hard to tell. This is Comet Swan. Again, the stellar background is different because the comet's moving so rapidly through the sky. And what we'll do is to show that is I'm going to do a 20-second photo of this object, and you'll see how it changes moment to moment. Now I am tracking and guiding on a star, so that star is going to stay right in that crosshair, and as such that's going to give us a perfect image where the stars will be perfectly round. And so now we're going to be looking here. This again is Comet Swan. I'm going to label it as such. Comet Swan. Its full name is R2, like R2D2. This is not actual, this is Unreal. I'm going to bring this down And Comet Swan then shows itself as we expect it to look. Look at that. It's really beautiful, and this is a 20-second photo. And in that 20 seconds, you can already see that central nucleus is dragged out a little bit, don't you? We can actually see the movement of the comet moment to moment. But because it's so fuzzy, it's hard to see. Like right there, look how long that is now. That shows that the comet moved from here to there in just that 20 seconds. This is the kind of thing that happens. That comet is way up here, and the stars are light years behind it. So we got to remember we are looking at a three-dimensional universe, aren't we? And that's interesting to see it that way. I want to welcome people that are here. Michael Hedrick was the first one. Yeah, there you go, brother. And then we have Semi-Auto. Nice to see you, man. Welcome. And we have Carl B. Hey, Carl, what's going on? And Kathy Messick. I want to see some beautiful imagery from that telescope, Kathy. Kathy bought a new telescope, and it's a superstar performer. I know this for a fact. Okay, you can see it's dragged out quite a bit now, so I'll clear it and we'll restart to get a proper shot, and then we'll save it. And then C&D Boy is with us. Nice to see you, man. How's it going? Thank you for putting up the links. Daisy and Zoe are with us. Nice to see you. I know that you're saying that the volume's a little low, and I'm trying to figure out why. That's pretty much as high as it goes. I don't know why, but let's try something else. Okay, well, maybe that does it. How about that? Maybe? Maybe. Okay, so we'll see if this works for us. Get the volume way up there. Not really. I'll just try and talk louder, guys, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I can't tell you why. I'm using the proper microphone. It's this one here that makes the sound when I hit it. So we'll see what happens. I'm sorry if you have to listen a little more intently, but I will try to talk closer to the mic. So this is Comet Swan R2. Comet Swan is really, really cool, and it is currently higher up in the sky than Comet Lemon, which is very low. I'll show you. This is in our planetarium view. It's literally way up in the sky. Its altitude in the sky, all right, is actually, let's do this. Let's bring this back. Let's do the zenith lightly here. The comet is sitting at a height in the sky of about 50 degrees up in the sky. So that's pretty steeply placed in the sky. Okay. And then Comet Swan is there, and one of the things that's different is that we have the other comet, which is Comet Lemon, at the other side of the sky. Actually, it's over the pole. And if we go look at Comet Lemon, we look in that direction, well, we have to spin around here, okay? And Comet Lemon is only about 12 degrees, maybe 15 degrees above the horizon, just about 14.5. Yeah. So it's actually just over 15 degrees. That's not very high. But we should probably look at that now, because it's going to disappear. So let's give it a shot, see if we can grab it, see if we can find it. This is Swan. Then we have other things to look at up in the northern area, which are going to be really cool up there. We'll check those out in a minute. Hey there, Dusty Witch. How are you? Nice to see you. Lori from Arizona. What's happening? And she's asking what part of the sky this is in. Let's first start the process of heading over to here. We'll come back to Comet Swan here shortly. So we'll come out of this, go in here, because we don't have a lot of time with Comet Lemon. All right, because you'll see a nice big tail on it. It's really cool. All right, so there's Swan, faint as we go. And then let's come back into our planetarium. And this is where we're going to go next. And you'll watch the telescope spin around here. All right, and it's going to head, there it goes. You watch it moving over there, and you can see it heading toward a destination that is near the horizon. And so it's going to find its way. Right now it's pointing, this telescope's kind of starting to point right toward us effectively. And it's going to be right on Comet Lemon just about now. And let's find out if if it's visible to us now. I've zoomed in a little, so let's zoom out. Okay, so somewhere in here, amidst this area, it might be Comet Lemon. Let's go see where it thinks it is. Okay, so it thinks we're looking at Comet Lemon now. And we should see the comet. So if we don't, I'm going to try to find our position and go over to that location. We may not be able to. There may not be enough stars, but we can take... Yeah, it didn't. But I'll do this. I will take a 5-second photo and then try and find it from that. So here we go. So you can see those stars. We're in the murk near the horizon. So it's not easy to find stuff there. So we're going to try again. Okay, still couldn't find it. We're going to try something here. If we swing this way a little bit, let's see if the comet will swing into view. Comet Lemon was hard to find earlier. The other thing, too, we can do is we can actually find a location up here. Let's go up. Let's go to Hercules and look at this globular cluster, all right, momentarily, and find this globular cluster. And when we find this globular cluster, we should be able to see. If we can't find it, we can actually. Oh, so we're doing the 5 seconds. There it is. Okay, so that means the comet would have been down to the lower right. So what I'll do is this. I'm going to say we're going to do plate solve and resync, and it should be able to find this. And then, yeah, it did. So it's going to center this up now. And we'll see it move to the center. It's a 5-second exposure. But if we go back to 1 second, it'll be there. There it is. So that is the Great Cluster in Hercules, globular cluster. And before Comet Lemon disappears, I want to get us back down to that. So Comet Lemon is down here. All right, and there we are. That little tiny red square is the size of our field. So let's move from there down to Comet Lemon and see if we can get the comet now in the view. I also didn't check if we've got clouds down that way. That's the other thing that could be happening down there. We probably won't be able to tell where this is. Yeah, I couldn't tell. All right, so keeping with that, let's move up a little bit. Let's move the stars up and see if Lemon swings into view here. It's been kind of hard to find because it's so low, but it's actually pretty bright once we find it. And let's see if it can find it from here, from these stars. Probably not enough stars. Yeah. Let's do this, though. Let's do a 10-second shot. And in 10 seconds, we're going to see more stars. And it's a relatively starless area, so it kind of makes it hard when we're using actual positions of the stars. Okay, but this view here, all right, see, we only have just a handful of stars, but let's see if those are enough to allow us to calculate our position. Ah, it did. So this means now we'll have the comet dead center in here in just a moment. Oh, sorry. I was doing 10 second. There it is. It's up there. Okay. Let's go back to our 1 second shot. I forgot that I'd done that. Now we'll bring this bright comet down into the view. There it comes. This is another... excuse me. It's another stellar interloper in our night skies, and you're going to see why I'm bringing it down this far in just a minute, okay? Because we are actually going to center it up and put it down in the lower right corner, and there's a reason for that. which you can start to see the tail up here. So let's do that. All right. Bring that down. Bring it over. Excuse me. And one more jog here. One more jog. Yeah, okay, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. And I guess we'll just spin back just a tad. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we'll set our guider going and guide on this location. Notice we don't have any stars in our guiding camera right now. So let's take some, get some images. Interesting, I don't see any stars. It's in the murk, there's no doubt about it. So, yeah, okay, let's do it again. Okay. Let me try this. I think should have done that first. Okay. So now we're gonna drop this down. Yeah, we're getting that weird reflection in here. I'm not sure why. Oh, I might know why. The infrared camera is reflecting into the face of this, and I might be able to change that. Let's try that. Donald Kunzer. Oh, and when he says, what if I had the scope lock on the Comet? I haven't figured out how to do that with this yet. I know it does it, but I haven't figured that out yet. First thing I'm going to do right now, though, while we have the Comet in the view, is do something very important, and that is I'm going to come into our camera that's up there, the bottom one, and I'm going to move that camera view so that we actually can see, get that infrared light out of the camera's aperture, because I think that's causing this. All right, here we go. All right, there we are. I'm going to move the camera now, and let's see if that changes. Move that out of the way. Yeah, see that? Now we got stars. All right, so note that if we have this problem again, we'll have to just remove our infrared light from the view for a moment. Okay, take another image. It's actually pretty nice in here now, and we can grab our stars. Okay, and let me increase the brightness here a little. And stop this, grab our stars again. There we go. We're going to guide on that star right there. It'll center up. There we are. So there's not many stars here. Yeah, see, it's hard. So what we can do actually is maybe grab this star. Yeah, I'm going to stop this again. 1 second. All this to take a single picture. All right, go right here. That star should be viewable. Oh, I know what I can do. I'm going to increase this exposure to 2 seconds. Add an extra half second on, and then redo it. The stars will be a little bit brighter. Okay, and now maybe we can guide on this. Let's see. Okay, so now it moved the guiding, so we might be able to, even though it's in the murky area that's sort of turbulent, it might work enough so we can get a few shots. So let's do a 25-second shot of the comet. Okay, and yeah, it's complaining it can't guide, but I'm gonna do it anyway. All right, and so now I'll take this off of our low light mode. Okay, we're guiding again. That's good. Okay. 3 seconds from seeing our image of Comet Lemon down near the northern horizon. There it is. Look at that. So here's the comet. Okay, and we can set our processing to kind of show you that. Look at that. Now that's beautiful. That looks very different from what we saw the other night. We can still see this blue ion tail, which is this central streak here. And you can see the comet dust, which is here on the outside and scatters outside this, the coma, which is the fuzzy head. The greenish color is due to cyanogen and carbon compounds that will generate a green color in comets. So we're actually seeing that here. Look at that. That's something. All right. So it's moving as we speak, and so it's going to be creating a bigger and bigger nucleus on us as it moves farther in the view. And so that's kind of interesting watching this. But this is what happens with our systems. Okay, we actually we find that we're taking pictures. If I was able to guide on the comet itself, which I'll figure out how to do that. I haven't figured out how to do that with this particular software, but I know it can do it, so I'll figure out how to do it. All right, and then guide on it, and then when I do, we'll be able to actually see just the comet, and the stars will kind of trail a little bit as we focus on the comet. But look at that beautiful image. That's something else. And this is going to be now Comet Lemon. So I'm going to change the name to Comet Lemon. All right. And we're going to clear it. We have 5 frames. So we're going to just save these as they are now, just to have them. Then we'll clear it and bring in another one, which will be the most accurate one, of course. All right. So that's the most accurate one right now. That's a 25-second shot. But what we can do is we can drop that down to, say, 12.5 seconds. Right? And let's do that. So let's clear this. Start again, which I think it did already. So this next shot will be 12.5 seconds. Okay. Now, what we can do is take our black level and move it back. Okay, and so this is what we get in a 12.5 second shot. It's almost the same. And we can darken up the background, all right, and save it with 2 frames stacked like this, and save exactly as seen. So in a 12-second shot, we'd see a lot of stars, but we're actually got to use a smaller sample and a smaller exposure to do our guiding. Otherwise, we can end up with a messed up view. All right, so I'm going to stop this right now because that is Comet Lemon, moving moment to moment in the sky. Comet Swan was also moving moment to moment in the sky. Looks really cool. And Donald Kunzer says, Lemon Comet, very pretty. That's all I got. Okay. It is. It's actually pretty, isn't it? You know, and, Comet Coma, no can do with off-axis guide or cosmic ray says, well, that's true, but we don't see the nucleus unless we average the Comet Coma. And so I know that this particular program can guide on comets. I've talked to the author. I just haven't figured out how to do it yet with this product, But it's gorgeous. And you can see the dust tail is a distinctly different color than this central blue. If you look here, you'll see the blue line going back there. That's the ion tail, the ionized ions from the center. If you look, this tail actually kind of does these strange motions. It doesn't actually go straight back like a line. It has little junctions and little knots in it, and that's very characteristic of this particular comet. So it's really interesting. I will save this one too. Sometimes what looks like a bad photo of a comet's actually a really good photo of a comet. All right. So, that said, this is a satellite that came through, most likely Starlink. Starlink is responsible for bringing us these views every single night. The internet's was down on the mountain here, and all the other astronomers couldn't run their telescopes, but we could because, and I kind of felt bad about that because we had Starlink. Let's see if the other astronomer that I know is working his telescope right now. Yep, look, that's you're looking at his telescope. Okay, this is his guide scope, and this is the barrel of his telescope. So he's operating right now too, and he's looking. He's probably looking. Probably looking at the moon. The moon is kind of low, but he's probably looking at that. All right, so this is now diffused and messed up here. So let's get out of here. I want to say hi to Marianne, who just joined us. You may know Marianne Robb. Marianne Robb is a principal in the nonprofit that we have. And she is really... Oh, look, we're getting just a little bit of light from our infrared system because I swung it around a bit. I'm going to move it out of the way, though, because I don't want him to have a problem with it. So we'll move it over, back looking at our telescope, because we're going to change where we're looking in just a moment. Okay. So that's where we're looking right now, and we'll move down, and we'll end up with artifacts from the infrared in our view here. We saw them earlier. But so there's Comet Lemon, and we can see that this ion tail has got some really interesting knots in it, which I think is pretty cool. And I'll save it anyway, even though it doesn't seem to have too much infected from the infrared light right now. Okay, and so what we'll do now is we'll come out of here, go back to our low light mode, and you'll see the comet down in the lower right. Okay, the nucleus of the comet down here. And now what we'll do is come here, and that tree isn't really there, by the way. That's part of the planetarium program. Okay, however, since we're in the neighborhood and it looks so cool, I would like to bring us back to here, work our way back, and go check out the Messier 13, the Great Cluster in Hercules. And let's see. There it is. And we'll bring it down into the view here. Get it lined up exactly. This is good. We're getting our alignment, which is good. There we are. And Messier 13 is a fun cluster. Every single globular cluster, which is what this is called a halo object. They orbit the galaxy. I've mentioned this many times. And this orbital characteristics of these clusters is such that they will plunge into the galactic disk and go through them and come out the other side, and then go around and come back up through them in a large orbit that could be relatively circular. And when they do that, maybe they shed some stars, maybe they gain some stars. So over billions of years, their pristine structure could change a little bit. But one thing we notice about the stars in general in these clusters, and they can have anywhere from 50,000 to 1 million stars in these clusters. These star clusters will generally have nothing heavier. There goes a satellite coming through. These clusters will, and their stars won't have elements heavier than helium in them typically. So they'll have a lot of hydrogen and some helium, and not much else. There could be a few additional elements in them, but mostly these star clusters are going to have very simple compositions. And what that means is that most likely any of the gas or dust that was in here originally didn't play a role in the formation of these stars. It was only hydrogen gas in cluster, pockets of dense hydrogen that broke up and clumped. We call it clumpy universe, and ended up, creating this cluster. And when it created this cluster, one of the things that it did was create stars that are relatively pristine. They don't have any heavier elements in them because there were no heavier elements to form with them. So whereas there might be some gas in the center of the star that may be fusing some other elements deep within the star. All we see is hydrogen and helium in the star right now, and that means that these clusters are fairly old. The older the universe, the less varied the composition is. In other words, so a star that was formed, 10 billion years ago, is going to have a less elements in it because it was made with less elements that were available at the time in the universe. Over time, when stars go supernova, they explode and they spread this material out to the universe, zing. And when they do that, we end up seeing the composition within the star that shows us what it was made with. Okay, our star has a lot of different spectral signatures in it, indicating all these different elements, and those are called the Fraunhofer lines, found by, of course, Fraunhofer. And the Fraunhofer lines are our typical G star, which formed 4.6 billion years ago. All right, stars that don't have that kind of chemical abundance and are very pristine either formed in a very weird location where there wasn't much stuff, or they formed toward the beginning of the universe when there was very little variety of material to form stars with. Let's do a 20-second photo of this, and I think we're guiding, aren't we? Yes. No, we're not. Let's do that. We'll do this, and we'll guide. Set up the guider. Bring this up. That star is probably going to be, one of these will probably be the primary. Let's do that. Yep. Okay, now we'll guide. These are secondary guide stars that are also being used. And while that's doing that, we're going to do our 20-second exposure now and go into our stack, and we're going to create the image sandwich that becomes a stack. We just keep piling exposures on top of each other, and that gets rid of all the noise that you see when you look at the first exposure. I'll zoom in and you'll see all this noise, all right. So now it looks beautiful. Now if I zoom in, okay, you see all this noise in here. This is noisy stuff, okay, and that noise, that's no good. That doesn't belong there. But now, as we get the second exposure in, watch what happens to the noise. All right, we're 2 seconds away. 1, 0, watch. Boom. A lot of that noise goes away. Look at that. We've actually cut the noise in half by going to 2 exposures. When we go to 4 exposures, we'll cut this noise in half. Every time you double the number of exposures, you cut the noise in half. So this is why when you make a stack, the more you can take, the less noise you'll have. So faint nebulae, for instance, will show up better in a stack with a lot of what they call subs or subframes. And this is what we're doing right now. All right. So we've got 3 now. When we get to the 4th, this noise will drop in half again. All right. And so this is a process that we use a lot in order to make a, there, see that? We just lost, again, half the noise again. And so now we see our stars in here, and this particular cluster has this really neat thing here. It looks like a little 3-bladed propeller. See it right there? And that is a feature called the propeller. Daryl points it out a lot when he's with us. And the propeller is just an area where it just happens to have fewer stars. And so we see an area that, just by the chance alignments of the stars as seen from our perspective, it makes a shape that we kind of recognize. Right? Now, we always take our black level and move it just to the left of our peak so we can see all the rest of the data and stars in here. We're going to color correct this. We get the stars looking, get the background looking darker. Okay. And we back out, and there you go. That is our beautiful Messier 13, the beautiful globular cluster in the constellation Hercules. I'll save this annotated image, so if you want to find it later on our website, you can do so. And the way we find that is, of course, by going here, skytourlive.org, scrolling down to the section that says I want cool pictures, and when you go in there, within 30 seconds, all of our imagery will be there. So like right now, I just saved this image in an astronomical format called FITS, and now I'm going to save it as a PNG file. Okay, that's a ping file. You can click on that and see this image. All right, and this image you can take and download it. It's going to be up there. If not already, it'll be up there in just a few seconds. We have a very fast system, and so it goes up into space, comes down to our server. So there you go, Messier 13. You like it? Of course you do. It's a gorgeous cluster. Now, Messier 13 is also a star cluster. As I said, it's a halo object, and it's in the constellation of Hercules. This is Hercules right here. And if we look here and bring in the mythology, you can see Hercules right there. Okay. Now, the mythological look here is just the interpretation of the authors of this program. It's not really true to mythology, apparently, but that's the way it works, you know, sometimes. So now, if we come out of that, I'm going to add the boundaries of the constellations too, so you can see where the constellations are bounded. All right. And so this beautiful cluster is literally 25,000 light years away from us. So we saw the light that we're seeing now left this cluster 25,000 years ago. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy, but it's true. And that 25,000 years ago is when this all happened. It's amazing, you know. So I want to say hi to other people that have joined us here. We have Time F. That's got to be Tim F. Yeah, I'm sorry to say Time. Sorry, Tim. I don't know what that @ sign. I don't know why it's showing these @ signs now, but it's new. New stuff's happening. Tim F is with us. Hey, Marianne, of course, is here. Sam S is with us, and she goes, C&DA boy, is there another Marianne, or is that for me? Haha, it's for you. Of course, I said hi to Lori DLP, who's in Arizona. Where are you, Lori, in Arizona? You told me last time, and I don't remember. I'm sorry. And then we're going to... and Roy Batty is with us. Hey, man. Hi, Roy. So I'll save this. Again, let me... Actually, I saved this, didn't I? I saved it in the wrong directory. I thought I changed the name. I did not. Sorry. So I'm going to call it M13, which is a globular cluster. When I come out, it's going to complain. Oh, you changed the name and you saved it. You know, now what do we do? Yeah, we'll do our best. Okay. Okay, so I'll save it now, and it's going to go to the right directory. I'll correct it on the server when we're done. Okay, so then we'll save exactly as seen. That's a gorgeous image of Messier 13, without a doubt. And now, let's go back to our low light mode. All right, and check out something else here. The moon just set. It was a waxing crescent. That's up on the server too, because I took pictures of it for you earlier. Okay, so that'll be up there too. So now, one of the things that I think is really cool is, since we're kind of in the neighborhood, let's go up here into the constellation of Lyra and look at this planetary nebula. This one's called the Ring Nebula. All right, so we should just sort of be able to zoom right up and see that, and we're going to find out how well that works. All right, and telescope is moving up because it's almost up overhead, and I've got to... You hear that noise? That's the guider complaining that I didn't turn it off. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do now is just bring that right into our view. All right, with this, and there it is. We found it, our location, and you'll see it centered up here in just a sec. There it is. This is called the Ring Nebula, for obvious reasons. This is a planetary nebula, and the central star is relatively dim, magnitude 14 or so. We can see stars that are around magnitude 17 plus. So in order to get this and see this, we need to guide on it, and then we're going to take a longer term photograph. But because this is such a bright object, it's a trade-off between overexposing the ring and showing you that central star, which is a white dwarf, a very hot very blue white dwarf. Okay, now the Ring Nebula. Let's do this. Let's make sure we've got our proper guide stars here. Okay, we'll pick one of these for sure. We got a number of them, so this should be a good guiding session. We've got at least 5 or 6 more secondary stars to guide. Okay, now the Ring Nebula that we're looking at here, we're going to start an exposure of it. The Ring Nebula, it's actually pretty distant. It's actually 2,870 light years away. So you're seeing this as it was 3,000 years ago. And as the sky changes a little bit, you can suddenly see, if you're looking in the middle, you can see the star show up, and then it's gone. Then it shows up, then it's gone. So we're right on the verge. And I'm going to go to 250 gain here. Okay, and that's a little higher in sensitivity. And that will be more than enough to show that central star, but it's going to overexpose the ring. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a 15-second photo, right? And the ring will be overexposed, but we should be able to see with a few successive frames, we should be able to see that central star, which again is that white dwarf. All right, now the Ring Nebula was one of the first objects I ever looked at as a kid. And I just was like, wow, that's amazing seeing this thing. It was just such an amazing sight to see it, because I never knew what it looked like. I just never knew what it actually looked like. Well, there it is. And as you can see, well, that's no good, you'll say. That's correct. It doesn't look that good because we have to alter a few things. We're going to take this black level and again go to the left here, but you'll notice we just briefly saw that star in the middle, and we'll see it now much more pronounced as I take the mid level, which is all these other brightness. You can see it now. As I bring this down, you'll see that white dwarf in the middle very, very prominently. Look at that. There it is. There's that white dwarf. See it? Right in the middle. If I go down even more, you'll see it as well. All right, let's do this. And now it's obvious. So let's zoom in. Okay. And there's the Ring Nebula. You notice it has a red fringe around the outside, and it has this bluish teal here. And then it has this light teal in the middle. Now, what's interesting about these objects is, and I differ from some of the established astronomical studies on this. I do. I'll tell you why. I'm an astronomer. That's what I got my degree in. When I look at something like this, I look at it from a perspective of saying, this to me looks like a spherical nebula. And if you notice my fingers, you got to look at my hands right now down here in the lower left. Okay? If you're looking through the edges of this nebula, you can't see through my fingers if those are the edges of the nebula. But as you look here and here, you can see through my fingers. And so as we progressively get more toward the front or the back of this object, we'll be able to see more stuff through. And that's just what we see. This object, to me, will look the same if we saw it from every other direction we look at it at. Because along the edges of this spherical object, we're going to see a thicker area. We're looking through more material to get to the front and the back. So more material, no matter which angle we look at it from. That's how it looks. So I think that that's how these things occur. And this, I think that's why they look the way they do. All right, now this is called Messier 57. It's the Ring Nebula. And I want to say hello to Rockstar, who's with us. Hey, Rock, what's going on, man? Nice to see you. Oh, Lori says she met me at Marianne's for Stanley. Okay, yes, Stan Milford is the Navajo Ranger. He has a book, and we're having a book party. Marianne was a book signing party at her house, and Stan's also a good friend, along with John Dover, and Stanley was there. So I remember that now, Lori. Very nice. Very cool. So yeah, so here is the Ring Nebula. So we're going to save this just to have it we could benefit from even more magnification on this because it is a small object. It's over 2,000 light years away, and that's for this size object, that's pretty small. Creeptasia's with us. Hey, Creep, how you doing? And now let's see if we were to come out here and go way down here. Now this is almost overhead, so we can drop this way down. Okay, this is you can see the central star starts to go away, and we don't want that, so we bring this to the point where the central star is pretty obvious, and that's right about here. Okay, and then we see this area on the outside. It's almost overexposed. But there's not a tremendous amount of variation at this kind of exposure that we'll see with this. If we truly way overexpose this and went to like 1 minute, all right, we'd see an outer area around this that is red, a red emission that was released earlier from this nebula as the star was expanding and contracting and puffing off its outer layers as it was in its death throes. That was, something that we would notice. Ronald's with us, ERT Radio. Hey there, Ronald. And yes, this is live. And so we would notice, in fact, that we'd have an outer layer of material that is farther away from the star, perhaps. And that was in the early puffing phase, the thermal pulse phase, where this thing was making these thermal pulses and pushing stuff off. And when it did that, that stuff's out here. It's very, very faint. But this is when it started to throw off a lot of its outer atmosphere around the core. And meanwhile, the core is contracting, getting smaller as gravity begins to win out over the failing fusion that's no longer really occurring. And so the star's core contracts and gets hotter and hotter and hotter as it does. And it reaches a point where it can't contract any further because you're literally packing electrons in its surface as close as they can get. And they can't pack any closer. If the star was more massive, they could go past that point, but it's not. So we get this dead core, which is going to be hot, giving off a lot of energy in the ultraviolet realm for billions of years before it cools to go to what we call a black dwarf from a white dwarf. As far as we know, there are no black dwarfs out there. It's just a theorized end state for a white dwarf. So that's pretty cool. We have 23 captured here. I'll save these. Okay. And I'll save it just like we see it. So now that file will be up at skytourlive.org. If some of you are here that aren't members, join us. It's free, and you'll get the alerts when we stream. And you can also go to skytourlive.org and download all the pictures we've taken for free. We don't charge. All right. If you want to get pictures that we've spent hours on processing, join our Patreon up here. And I think I can't remember the level, but if you join at a certain level, you get 4 a month. And if you join at a higher level, you get all of them. All of our processed images are available to you. But anyone, once you're in here, you can also go on our skytourlive.org site and scroll down to the art gallery. And what that art gallery will show you, it'll take you to another site that's called our dark room. And you can get these under glass, you can get them framed, you can get them on water bottles, you can get them on cups and mugs and so forth. And it's just beautiful to have one of these. And with Christmas coming, it makes great Christmas gifts. And to get those, you go to SkyTour Shop. Okay? SkyTour Shop is where we have our Etsy store. And we add products there all the time. And you can then buy these products. We have sneakers with nebulae on them that we took. Okay? They're cool. I have a pair of those. I think they're at Marianne's house because I use them to do talks. And Marianne's our CFO, our Chief Financial Officer in Arizona. I'm actually in Connecticut running the telescope 2,600 miles away in Benson. And so that's why I have the camera so I can see what's going on. That's beautiful. Okay, so we're going to save it now and we'll end the Ring Nebula. This is really pretty. All right. So that'll be up there. So again, you can join us. It's all free, and you can enjoy the photos that we take every single night. Measure 13 doesn't need a whole lot of processing to look, and it looks beautiful, just like it is. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Right now, actually, I'm going to tell it to zoom and fit the height, so it's going to be right there. And we're not streaming right now. I'm sorry, we are streaming. We're not going to stack this right now. We're done with this one. So if we come in here now, okay, that's an end state of a star that we saw. That's an end state of a star kind of like the sun, okay? And now what I'd like to do is take us to another one that is going to end in a very, very different way, all right? And that is, and we're going to look it up right here. That is a very, very hot region of space that we would never survive in if we were there, okay? And it is this over here. It's called the Bubble Nebula. Let's go check it out. All right, so here we go. You can hear the telescope heading that way. I'm going to turn this off. It's up in the northern part of the sky. Okay. And the telescope's going to dip back a little bit. Here we are. And it's pretty high in the sky, and that's good. Okay. I know we're near it because I have seen this star field before. Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll just center it up and get it in our view. And you'll see that it's going to move a little bit and center it up in our view. And there it is. I know it doesn't look like much, but you see that little piece of nebula right there? Wait until you see this. Now, I'm going to go guide on this right now. And you're going to be, I think, pretty astonished. Because guess what? The universe blows bubbles. Did you know that? I bet you didn't. It blows bubbles, and you're going to see one of them right now. And that's going to be right here. You can kind of see it. Let's do a 25-second photo. That'll work. Okay, and we're at 250 gain, you know, and the gain is very important because the gain basically allows us to set the sensitivity of the sensor, and the exposure allows us to set the time that we're looking at that sensor. I'm sorry, the time that that's going to expose. So there's the bubble. We're going to come to that in a sec. I just want to show this is our exposure, and this is our gain. These are the two most important fields on the screen. Okay, and the focus is down here. This is the focus cluster. This is the motion cluster, and this is a secondary cluster for moving the telescope. This is the telescope view over there. Okay, and then over here, okay, we actually have let me move this. Okay, then over here we actually have the telescope in the two different views here. All right. So that said, this is something that we are utilizing. That's our screen, all right? Now, that was the view without stacking, so we're going to stack that, and you're going to see it now in much more vibrant color than we saw with that view that wasn't processed in any way. The night sky out there is very dark, and I'll show you that in just a minute. All right, so here will be our first view. You'll see it here in just a sec. I know it doesn't look like much, but we get rid of this over-processing, and look at that beautiful object. My gosh. Now, we're still, and we're going to color correct, and then we're going to try and start to punch up some data. Look at that. It looks like a glass ball, doesn't it? And what we're going to do is take this here. We're going to move our mid-range here. We're going to move it a little closer to the main view, or the main peak. And that's going to help brighten up detail in there. Look at that. So let's do this. Let's minimize that. Okay. So now we can actually look at this up close and personal. Okay. Here's how this works. This star right here is a very, very hot star. It's known as a Wolf-Rayet star. Those are very, very hot stars, very, very massive stars, well known for something called stellar wind. Now, we have solar wind. Our sun sends out a breeze, basically, of protons and electrons from the sun. Okay, that's the solar wind. And it can be energetic at times, like when we have X-class flares, which are massive flares that shoot off the sun. And those X-class flares, we can send particles into our upper atmosphere through the poles, north and south, and create aurora borealis. Wow. Well, this star, on the other hand, it doesn't shoot off X-class flares. If there was something 1,000 to 10,000 times more powerful in our definition, that's what this star does on a second-by-second basis. It never stops. This star has such powerful stellar winds that the stellar winds from the core pushing out energy push away the envelope of the star. In other words, everything the star is made of. All right. When we look at the sun, you see the sun. It's a half a degree in size in the sky. You squint, you can kind of see an image of the sun burned into your retina or whatever. But that size of the sun is actually not what is actually doing the fusion that creates the energy in the sun. What's creating the energy in the sun is something that's literally about 15%, okay, of the size of the disk of the sun in the sky. That's how all stars are, okay? The only, let's say 20% of the star is the core, and the rest is along for the ride. So our sun's core is a tiny little thing, all right, 15 or so percent the size of our star, and all the rest of that disk of the sun in the sky, which is the size of the full moon, effectively, is actually along for the ride. Okay, so that's a little anatomy of the star. So this star, what this star has done is it's actually, that star right there, and what it's done is it's actually created this amazing, okay, and I'll show you that guy right there has blown this big interstellar bubble around itself right here, all around it. And it's so hot, okay, this is a massive star, that all we're looking at here is the core inside the star that's actually, pushing out with such energy that it's blown its outer regions away from itself. And so these are stars that blow bubbles. And the other thing about these stars is there's supernovas in waiting. We know for a fact that this star is going to explode in a supernova at some point. And Wolf-Rayet stars are somewhat rare. We have a number of them in our galaxy, but they are somewhat rare. And if they're rare, if you don't see a lot of them, it means that a lot of them didn't exist for a long time. Okay, so they didn't survive for a long period of time. So the Wolf-Rayet stars we see now are the current ones that have yet to go supernova. So it's a good idea to just watch these Wolf-Rayet stars, because sometimes they could go supernova on us. And so there's a lot of people watching these stars for that very reason. So that said, let's take this black curve and bring it up. This white curve you see in there, that's the average of the red, green, and blue curves. And that's going to be where we use to set our values. Now you can see this beautiful object. Look at that thing. Isn't that crazy? That is absolutely stunning. This is known as the Bubble Nebula. Now, in our wide field system out in the Sonoran, the bubble is literally about this big. Okay? In this narrow field view, it's much bigger. We see much more detail in here than we can see with the Sonoran scope. The Sonoran scope's wide field shows a giant swath of nebula. Gorgeous. but it doesn't show us the details, and that's what this telescope is good at. This is the extent of the bubble. You can see it. Now, those of you looking at it might say, wait a minute, isn't that star off center? Yeah, it seems to be off center. But the fact is, it is a 3D universe. And one of the things is, from a certain perspective, let me wait and see here. It says my session was interrupted. And that means that we've been disconnected, but it's still up. So I'll just restart. This happens. It means that we might have lost our Starlink connection for a moment, but we got it. So this star is also, it's moving through space. This bubble is probably several tens of thousands of years old, maybe a little older, and so the star is probably moving quickly, and so we might be witnessing this perspective effect from this particular vantage point. However, the other thing that's happening is the star is so hot, it's ionizing all this hydrogen gas out here. Hydrogen is the most populous element in the entire periodic table and in the universe. Okay, there's more hydrogen than any other. Next is helium. Next is oxygen, believe it or not, and next is carbon, what you're made of. Okay, and I did a talk today at a UFO conference here in Connecticut, and I talked about, I did a history of the Earth, and I do the history of the Earth on a roll of toilet paper, and I unroll it out in the audience, and I have milestones on it, and we talk about all the things, and we talked about it from the perspective of what would aliens see if they showed up at the Earth here 14.7 million years ago, or 252 million years ago, or 400 million years ago. What did the Earth look like? And I was astonished at how much people enjoyed that. It was really cool. It was the toilet paper, I think. The toilet paper makes things fun, because it was very instrumental, because it's 117 feet long, okay? And out of that 117 feet, some various things happened along the way, but the explosion of life happened in the last couple of feet. And dinosaurs died about 12 to 14 inches ago on that scale. So what that means is dinosaurs are recent history, okay, not ancient history. And that's when people in the audience were like, what? Yeah. And they saw the perspective and saw how much time passed between developments on the planet. Because each square of toilet paper, 4 inches by 4 inches, represented about 14 plus million years. So they saw lots of blank sheets, and then the next thing. Lots of blank sheets, and then the next thing. A couple blank sheets, and the next thing. That meant that 14 million years per sheet was passing before the next big thing happened. Okay? So, slow to develop, but let me tell you, it was really something to see. And in that last, literally quarter inch, little tiny bit, was Lucy, Australopithecus afarensis, our hominid ancestor. Okay? And all of human history and development and evolution was in that last quarter inch out of 117 feet. And that revelation made people go crazy. They thought that was the coolest thing. I mean, it really is, isn't it? When you learn about the universe this way. This bubble's looking beautiful. You can start to see more detail in here. Wow. It's a good night, because I have not seen this stringy detail in here before. That's new. Right. Okay, let me go back to the chat and see what's going on. Okay, Earth Radio is making comments to Dusty Witch. And let's see, what is Ronald talking about now? Let's find out. He says they did confirm that Betelgeuse has a companion star. Not sure if everyone knew this. True, they thought the star, Betelgeuse is a supergiant, a red supergiant. But guess what? It used to be a hot O star. O stars are the hottest and bluest stars. That's right, I said blue, in the universe. Well, now Betelgeuse is red. Why? Because as an O star, a hot O star, 750 light years away, it would have been a bright, blazing blue beacon in the upper left of Orion for several maybe a million years or so, maybe a little more, a little less. And then it used up all its hydrogen, because that's what these red giants or these O stars do. They use up all their hydrogen very, very quickly, and they rapidly end up becoming objects that are off the hydrogen fusing line we call the main sequence, and they become supergiants, and the red giants, in fact. And so Betelgeuse became a red supergiant. If you put it where the sun is, its orbit would extend all the way out to Jupiter. Its radius would go from where the sun is all the way out to the orbit of Jupiter. Okay, that's 5.2 astronomical units. Remember, an astronomical unit is 93 million miles. So 5.2 times 93 million is the radius of Betelgeuse. You have to double it for the diameter. Okay, that's a massive star. But Betelgeuse, as a supergiant, is so large that in those outer environments out as far as Jupiter, the star is so cool out there, about 3,000 Kelvin or about 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, that the star can make molecules in its outer atmosphere. All right, and so that type of thing happens out there. Molecules need a relatively cool region to actually to survive in and create a long-standing molecular population. So here's the bubble, and we're going to name our target right there. We're going to target it. It's called the Bubble Nebula. Okay, we'll save it image with annotations, which is kind of cool. Excuse me, because if we look at this, this is what's going to be out in the server. You'll see this annotated object out there. It tells you what the star is. It tells you what that is. Okay, Caldwell 11, AGC 7635, the Bubble Nebula. Okay, and there's another in there, another nomenclature name in there. All right, but that's not what we want to see. Typically, what we want to do is take and save that. Okay, and we've had 30 exposures, and we'll save it exactly as seen, so that this is what we'll see. All right, when we go out there. And so the ping file is this one, which I told you about. That's this guy. Okay. These are always on top, so that's why I have to move this. So that's what's available to you to take right now if you want. And you can bring it into your favorite program and play with it all you like. All right, and that is the Bubble Nebula. Now that's a 25-second shot. Right? If we did a 1-minute shot, which I wouldn't make you sit through, then you'd see a lot more detail in here. Okay? But as it is, we're seeing some really cool detail in this that I just didn't see before. So when I process it, I will be looking for it. Now we've got 32 stacked. I'm going to save it. Save it exactly as seen. All right. So there you go. Wolf-Rayet star, a phenomenon in the universe. If you were anywhere around here, your face would be melted off by the ultraviolet radiation. There's no ship that could protect you, right, because of that. By the way, the Milky Way is so bright out here that when I take this camera and point it up, you can see the Milky Way with this particular camera. And it's not a particularly low light camera. It's just so bright that it shows up. It's faint, but it's there. Okay. Again, because I'm talking and doing that, I made 34 shots. So I'll keep that too, because it's always good to have more of those. Okay, now I'll get out of here before it gets worse. All right, there we are. So did you enjoy the Bubble Nebula, guys? Let me know. All right. And since we're in this region, we're going to go to another spot too. And we're in this beautiful northern Milky Way area. Okay. There's another object down here that I want to show you. This is the coolest thing. And it's going to be right here. I zoom in, it'll show up. All right. It is this guy. It's called the Gamma Cass Nebula. Yes, this is the W of Cassiopeia. You can see it right there. Okay, Cassiopeia, mythologically, was this this character, and of course, Perseus is down here, and Perseus slew Medusa, etc. There's all kinds of wonderful mythological stories behind the sky, and maybe at one point we'll actually do a mythological sky view and look at stuff in the sky like that. What we're going to do now is we're going to move to the Gamma Cass Nebula, and we'll go back to our 1 second. Well, we're at our 1 second, and then we're going to do this. Okay, bring that up. There goes a bright star. That was probably Navi, Gamma Cass, itself. And let's now look at, we are of course zoomed in a little bit, so let's do this. All right, now let me try one thing here. I'm going to do this, see if that gives us a little edge. I think it did. Okay. All right, now I'm going to take a just a 10-second shot here. All right, to try and yeah, I know. We'll do a 10-second shot. We're not going to guide on it. I just want to see if it was in here. It kind of looks like it's right here. It's about that size. So let's see. May or may not be there. Okay, it's unguided. All right. So what we're going to do is this. It's not there. So what we'll do is center it up, because it's easy to find. It's probably down here, actually. Okay, that's probably it. So let's do this and bring it back in. Okay, it's certainly going to find it because there's plenty of stars to choose from. And we are there, so we're probably right there. All right, let's make sure that we're at the right location here. Okay, well, we are. We're going to look at this one too next. That's the Pac-Man. That's really cool. The wide field system shows the entire thing. This one will show a portion of it. All right, let's do a 20-second shot. And we'll stack and drop out of the low light mode. Let's take our stack and dock it back up, because right now it will drop away. Okay, so it's docked here. And we're looking for the Ghost Nebula. Very appropriate for Halloween. And there it is, right there. That's the Ghost Nebula. Now, we're going to move this over here a little bit. All right, and it's beautifully centered there. And we're going to color correct. There we go. Now you can see the reds more. And this is okay right now for that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to change this to 35 seconds. All right, and we'll clear it. All right, and then we'll, this is called the Gamma Cass Nebula. Gamma Cassiopeia. And it's actually part of a large complex. And this is the Ghost Nebula part of it. It has a rather, specific designation beyond that. But it's fun to see it anyway. I'll just zoom us out a little bit so you can see the whole thing right here. So we're 1 second away, and let's see. Boom. There it is. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Okay. Now, I am going to, we got lucky with that. So what I'm going to do now is set up our stars. Start guiding. Here we go. Yeah, look at that. So, the Gamma Cass Nebula is a star that is, is a nebula that's being excited by a bright star in the vicinity, and the bright star is just out of view, kind of over here. And it's a very hot star, and it's eroding this front. This part is more dense, and so the starlight isn't the starlight isn't actually. Okay, we're getting wind. Okay, we're getting wind, and you can see this is fuzzing up a little. So we're gonna clear that and redo it, because we're definitely getting wind out there. I saw when I just was doing a 1-second shot earlier of the moon, the wind was causing some vibration going on out there. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to drop this exposure down to 1.5 seconds. So the stars will be slightly dimmer, but that's okay. They'll still be there. Okay. All right, so what's happening now is the star Navi is, we're getting this. I'm sorry about the wind. The wind is blowing us around out there. And luckily, I'm going to see if we can, I'm going to make sure we're actually going to align some frames, because right now, we're not going to, we won't see those unless we do that. I want to make sure we're getting all green frames. All right, let's see. Okay, there's our green. All right, there we are. Yeah, I know. See, then we're guiding again when the gust of wind goes away. But if it gets too out of hand, we'll see a red spike here. I can kind of get around that, but okay. So let's talk about this. Navi is the star that's illuminating this whole region. Okay, and if we zoom down here, this is Navi right here. Navi is a very hot star, as I said. Okay, and we'll do this. Okay, it's a very hot star, as I said. It's a stellar type of a B0, which is a very hot blue star. Not as hot as the O's, but it's a very, very hot star, and it's giving off a lot of ultraviolet radiation. As we zoom in here, you can see how Navi's here, and this is here. Navi's distance is about 613 light years. So this cloud is around the same distance, maybe toward us or away from us, but it's around the same distance. And as such, the star's ultraviolet energy is ionizing the hydrogen gas in here, causing this here. But you'll also notice a blue component here. That's because this whole region is also filled with lots of dust. And the dust is taking the blue light from Navi and scattering it back to our eyes, letting us see it. The dust likes that high frequency bluer light, and will actually take it in and shoot it right back out. And that's what we're seeing here. Now, that happens, as I've said to you many times, in our atmosphere with molecules of nitrogen and oxygen. They do the same thing. They take in the blue light from the sun and scatter it back to us. And so that's why we have a blue sky everywhere we look. Even when you're looking away from the sun, the sky is still blue. And that's because the molecules are scattering the blue light in every single direction. So no matter where you are looking at this nebula, the blue light is still going to be there. Okay? So that's how that works. All right, so again, Gamma Cast right here. And we're having a successful run right now. That one's a little high. And so, but it stayed within the parameters. So that's good. Excellent. So we've got 8 stacked right now. And these stars you see are just beautiful. Now, again, when we look at this, let's see if, yeah, it caused, this area, the Ghost Nebula, has its own special name. It's called IC 0063. IC stands for Index Catalog. We have all kinds of catalogs. We have the New General Catalog, NGC. We have the the Index Catalog, IC. We have the Sharpless Catalog, which is SH. Okay, and we have a number of other catalogs beyond that. And so the sky has been of fascination to astronomers for centuries. So let's make sure we're still going here. Well, yeah. I mean, I can leave this up while we're doing this, okay, because you can see the guiding. It's dancing around really high and low here, and that's luckily it's still able to guide. It's moving that telescope like no tomorrow to keep the guide star centered, and so we get perfectly round stars. Very successful guiding process that we're using here. Okay, so yeah, that one didn't come in, which is okay, because it would have made the stars elongated. Okay. Donald Hunter says, I have to watch Cosmos again. I think Carl Sagan said all the constellations in the northern sky are included in the story of Jason and the Argonauts, including the Persia story. Actually, that's true. I believe that's correct. That's pretty cool. I want to thank C&D Boy for putting our link in there. I want to say hello to Wayne Pinkham. Wayne's with us. Wayne lives right down the road from me, and he's been here. He's a really cool guy. He visited Mauna Kea. I hate him for that. No, I don't. And he brought me a cool shirt and a couple of things. Really, really nice. All of our best telescopes in astronomy are on Mauna Kea, in Hawaii, of course. And so, he went to Hawaii and brought me back this really cool shirt, which is very, very kind of him. So, hey, show him some hellos. Say hi to Wayne, because he's a really good guy. All right, so let me come to our histogram now, and I'm going to darken up the background and brighten up the nebula by pulling our mid-level up here. All right, we're going to pull that up about halfway, and you look at that. Now you see more of the blue, okay? And we'll color correct again. All right, and we're good. So now you see a lot of the red, and now what I'll do is I'll pull this up right near the peak, but not quite. Look at that contrast. A beautiful object like this, when you look at the W of Cassiopeia, you just don't realize what is hiding in the W of Cassiopeia. It's amazing. Really, really cool. C&D Boy says, I sent your live link to Dr. Fox 2000 live volcano stream. Hey, yeah, thanks, man. I know Dr. Fox. He's a good guy, and I often go to his volcano streams. Neatest stuff on the planet. He shows the live active volcanoes around the world erupting when they are. He did great coverage of the Icelandic volcanoes when they were going off, and that was really, really cool. So he's very good in the geological realm, and I defer to him, and it's pretty neat. Donald Kunzer says, can we see the Andromeda Galaxy? You know we're in the right area of the sky now, don't you? Yeah. So we're going to go to 15 on this guy, and then we're going to go look at the Pac-Man Nebula, and then we'll go to the Andromeda Galaxy. All right. Now, the Andromeda Galaxy is huge. Okay. We're going to see a small section of it. In fact, I can kind of show you what that's going to look like. If we come here, right, we zoom out. This square represents our field of view. If I come out of here and I take us over toward the northeast, all right, there's the Andromeda Galaxy up here. See that red square? Watch. Here's how much of the Andromeda Galaxy we'll see. All right, see that? So what I like to do is focus on some of the cooler parts, like down here, where you have all these hot blue stars. And then over here, believe it or not, I did this the other night and I was astonished. I looked at M110, which is in many cases a featureless elongated blob, but it's called an elliptical galaxy and it has its own details. There are actually dark dust lanes in this galaxy that were never visible until we looked at them with this telescope. It was so cool. And these are the dust lanes in the galaxy. Just incredible. This galaxy down here, which is right here, Messier 32. That's a true elliptical. There's no detail in it whatsoever. Elliptical galaxies are strange birds because they don't typically have dust in them like this. They just seem to be featureless, giant collections of stars. But this one's different. This one actually has dark lanes in it. All right, so back to Navi and back to the Gamma Cast Nebula. All right, so at this point, all right, when we look here, we can see now if we zoom in on this a little bit, you can see how our writing is, okay? So if you rotate your head to the right, you can see that this should be to the right of our field, looking that way. And it is indeed to the right of our field, looking that way. You can see other blue nebulae in here, and you can see the beginnings of another patch of nebulosity that's down here. And there's much more of it down here that we can't see, right? So it's really cool. And now, as I said, and this is kind of neat, if we look at this area right here is being eroded by Navi, which is out here, okay? And it's being eroded, but it's a denser area. So this dense area right here is dense enough so that the radiation from Navi is pushing this way. It's pushing toward it like this, all right? And so it's not eroding this, but it's pushing the gas back and ionizing it all the way out, okay? And so that shape we're seeing right here is directly the result of Navi's forceful stellar winds pushing that gas further away from the star. You know. And let's see. Hey, James Dugan is with us. James Dugan from Australia. How you doing, James? James, I'm still looking for a Southern Hemisphere Australia site for another Sky Tour site. I really, really would like to set that up. So why don't you be our emissary, James, and find us a place where we can actually set up a telescope. You know, if you do that, I'll give you a free access to all of our high-end imagery. Actually, that offer stands for anyone who lives in a dark sky location. If you have a site that we would choose for another telescope, because we want to put in more, we will give you full access to everything we've got, like the highest level Patreon people get. And that includes a personal tour of your own. Okay, ask Ronald. He went on one with us. So the thing is, what's interesting is when we talk about telescopes, we run on your donations, of course. Obviously, I don't get paid. No one gets paid to do this in our group. But if you go to skytourlive.org here, what you can do is you can actually when you go there, you can actually hit the donate now button if you want to give to us one time or recurring. It's up to you. Or you can go and join our Patreon and become a monthly subscriber for as little as $3 a month if you want. The more people that do, the better we can do, because we are buying we're releasing this observatory that you're seeing here, and it costs us $1,200 every 3 months. Okay? Luckily, because of your Patreon support, we can just barely make that. And we're also paying $120 a month for the Starlink here, and $120 a month for the Starlink in the other observatory. Now, we spent the money, okay, out of our own pockets to build that observatory. That didn't come from Patreon, okay? Nor did that telescope. That telescope came from me donating it to Sky Tour Livestream. So that entire setup is worth about I would say $35,000, and that was all donated by us to get this all going. This telescope here, donated by our patron. You know, when we get our plaque installed, you'll know who that was soon, won't they, Ronald? It was Ronald, actually. Um, and he helped us by providing us with the money to buy this telescope, which is very nice of him to do that. And he believes very much in this mission that we have. But look at this. This is a gorgeous nebula, beautiful nebula. And for the most part, we've been pretty error-free and so forth in how we're actually producing this stuff. It took me about 2 years. That's good. I got 25. That's enough. It took me 2 years to figure out how to do all this. And it started on my front lawn with a gigantic dome sitting on the front lawn of my house in Terryville, Connecticut. It was sort of the talk of the town. People drive by going, "Hey, what is that thing? Is that a missile silo?" "No, Harry, that's a composter." Okay, crazy. But no, it was an observatory, and it had a telescope in it. And it turned out that these telescopes... Oh, actually, I made a mistake. The telescope in the Sonoran was purchased by us as well. It was actually... it was actually one of those things that we did get. So all of it basically had come out of our pocket. I have the one from the dome here sitting behind me. We're going to put a solar observatory out front here. So we'll do solar in Connecticut, and we're going to do deep sky in Arizona, and hopefully Colorado soon in the San Luis Valley. That's hopefully going to happen. I'm looking forward to that possibility. But we can't count on that one yet. We have to work all that out. But there we go. This is gorgeous. We're going to save it here. Okay, this is again the Gamma Cassiopeia Nebula, powered by the star Navi, a bright B-type hot blue star. Okay. Next is an object that is near and dear because we've looked at it so many times with our Sonoran telescope, and that is, I'm going to stop this now, and that is an object called the Pac-Man Nebula. I've never looked at it with this telescope. Never. It's the first time we will have looked at this. And that's right here over in Cassiopeia. It's over here, right there. So we should see this pretty easily, but let's check it out. And I want to get to the part of the nebula that's the brightest, okay? So we're in it now. Guaranteed. I remember this. So what I'll do is we'll start the guiding right away. And I'm going to do a 45-second exposure of this one. Because, actually, let me do something else. I got to take another picture of the sky. Because we need to get the next set of stars in here. I forgot we should do that every time. So we get our new star view in here, and then we can get our stars to guide on and say go for it, and then it will stabilize over a period of a few seconds. There we go. James Dugan says, "Okay, Mark, I'll look into it." James, you're the man. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, he's going to look into the deep sky site down in Australia. Where do you want the scope to go? As far south as you can, or in Queensland or Western Australia? I think there are some in my state as well. Actually, in the region of Siding Spring Observatory, Melbourne. We've most southern. Correct. Yeah. Melbourne. Well, we don't want to be anywhere near Sydney. It's too bright. Or Melbourne. Melbourne is also bright. But there are areas near Siding Spring Observatory which are quite dark. I think that's Queensland, but you'll correct me, James. Okay, let's start this exposure. And we're going to do a 45-second shot here. We are guiding. So we're going to come out of this low light mode and go into our live stack. And that's why that square was that size. So when I live stack, we still see the whole thing. But we can, if it comes in, we can actually go ahead and move that that out of the way and allow us to see that. That's the Pac-Man. That is correct, Jack. How you doing, Jack? Welcome to Skyter Livestream. Subscribe to us, man, if you haven't. It's all free. Okay, here comes our first exposure of the Pac-Man Nebula. Oh yeah, that's pretty beautiful, isn't it? That's gorgeous. We're only looking at the central part of the Pac-Man. I'll show you where we're looking actually right away. First things first, I'm going to color correct and then bring our... let me see what it wants to do. It's going to move things way out, okay, because it's going to actually manage the noise. We're going to come to near the peak here. There's a lot of data. That's why the curve's like this. And as I move out, okay, we're way down here. Okay, but we're going to pull that back, get a little brighter. Now, it wouldn't select that because it's too noisy for it. It would actually go to where the noise is less. Wow, this is beautiful. This is the first time I've looked at the Pac-Man with this. This is the central cluster in the Pac-Man. Okay, what a beautiful nebula this is. And the Pac-Man is named for the fact that it looks like, waka waka waka. It looks like the Pac-Man. And let's go look at it in our planetarium. Zoom in on it a little bit so you can see what we're looking at. Okay, so there you go. We are right about here. Okay, so we're seeing the central cluster in here, and we're seeing that's what's here. So we're actually just off center just a little bit. If we come in here and do our crosshairs, you can see we're just off center a little bit. Okay, and there we go. Yep, position angle is calculable. Yeah, there we are. So those are all our reticles that we like to use sometimes. Okay, this black stuff is not a void in this nebula. It's actually a dark nebula up in front here, a finger of dark nebula, and the nebula is behind it. So this is occluding it and passing in front of it. That's what happens here. Many of these stars are in the foreground. Some could be in the background, some in the nebula. Some in here could be in the nebula. Even this star or these stars could be in the nebula, or this one. We just don't know. All right, now that this is coming in, I'm going to just drop this out of the way. And we're going to increase the size of this so we can watch it develop before our eyes. That's what I like to do. I like to literally develop this image right before your eyes. And that's the most important thing. It's the most beautiful thing, watching it get cleaner and cleaner. Remember what I said. Double the exposures halves the noise, cuts the noise in half approximately. And that kind of approach is something that really works for us when we're stacking. Right now we got 4. So we have half the noise as when we had 2 exposures, effectively, right? It's not exact, but it actually does work. I'm not going to take a drink of my water because I just don't shut up, do I? Okay, so this is a stellar nursery, and as a stellar nursery, the Pac-Man Nebula has areas in it that are denser than others. You can see them here. There's the one there. There's one here. This knot of dark dust might be collapsing. This one here might be. This one here might, and the fringe might be. And so these are areas where there might be planetary formation and stellar formation that's going to go on inside, because undoubtedly in here with it is a lot of hydrogen. Remember, hydrogen is the most plentiful element in the whole universe. And as I said, we have helium, then oxygen, and then carbon. Like I said, that's what you're made of. So James says, okay, Mark, we'll email some links, and you can look at some sites and determine what works for you and the prices. Rumbungle is an international dark sky site, but that one might be too pricey. Okay, you know what? I want to get the data. You're right, James. That's awesome. I want to see Rumbungle as well. We can't afford a very pricey situation right now, because obviously we have to afford plane fares to get down there. Because when I go down there to set it up, I'm not just going to go down for a week. I'm going to have to stay down there for probably 3 to 4 to set all this up. Or get someone long distance to do it, like we did the Sonoran telescope when we first built it. We built that during COVID, and I couldn't go out there. And so Marianne and Tara in our 501c3 went out there, and they're the ones that actually managed this. Tara was out there as literally the foreman on the job, and she was cracking the whip to get this thing done. And naturally, she didn't have to crack too hard because we used professional people that knew what they were doing, which is good. So when I designed the observatory, they made it just exactly as we wanted. And what's funny, this observatory is almost exactly the same design, and I didn't design this one. So that's kind of cool. All right, so we have now 8 images. So we have half the noise in here that we had roughly when we had 4 images. And now look, you're starting to see some detail in here. Okay, interesting details in there, which is kind of cool. Now along the edges of this little dark object, you can see there's a fringe of what looks like red. This one has a brighter red here and a darker area here. Now that could be because of the density of the cloud. We're seeing more hydrogen through the edges maybe, and so it's brighter in color. But there's a tendency to want to think that that shows us its three-dimensionality. Not necessarily. It can just show us density, and it could be more distributed in a much stranger way than just a thick cloud. But this is an extremely complex area. Look at these filaments now that are becoming clear. Look at that. These are now showing up very clearly. These were not there. We've never seen these before, ever. This is the first time. And the guider is just phenomenal guiding. You know, I've got everything tuned very well on this so far, and we've got no problems. I'm really enjoying this. Let's go check out our parameters here. If we go to our full width half maximum, you can see that all of our images are in the green, okay, which is good. It means there's nothing that's being lost. Okay. And we're gonna leave this going. We got 10 right now, so I'll save it, okay, after getting its name straightened out. There it is. It's that guy right there, but we're going to call it by its actual name, and it's called the Pac-Man Nebula. So I'm going to call it the Pac-Man Nebula. All right, there it is. What we will do is save it with the annotations so that it shows up in that directory. Okay, and that's good. And so we can get rid of this now that we've done it. I really like the ability to just put labels on everything we see. That is so cool. What's going on behind the scenes is this. It's looking at the stars, looking at the nebula. It's figuring out where it is in the sky and saying, oh, I'm on the Pac-Man Nebula. And then it labels it. And I actually brought in way more data on objects in the night in the sky, so we won't find too many regions that it doesn't know. And I got a few more to go on that. All right, so now we're at 11 images, all right, and that have been stacked, and it's starting to look better and clearer in different regions. So what I'm going to do now is come to our histogram here, and I'm going to take this mid-range area, this middle area that was just there, okay, and I'm going to slide this over more now toward that curve, and we're going to take in more data, and it's going to show us details even more. Okay, so there's our peak. The closer I bring it, the noisier it gets. All right, so if I brought it right in here, you'll say, wow, look at all how bright it is. But look how noisy it is. The noise causes that. So what we do is we try to balance that so visually. So as we move this around, okay, we get it to the point where the noise isn't as bad, but we can see more and more detail showing up. Like these bright areas are now showing up. Look at that. These are interesting because you look at the cluster here, okay, see this guy? That's actually a pillar. That's a long, thin pillar pointing at this. This is a long, thin pillar pointing at that. This is a long, thin pillar pointing at that. See that? Why are these all pointing at the star? At the stars? Well, together, all these stars are spewing a lot of ultraviolet energy and stellar winds of their own. Not like that Wolf-Rayet star in the Bubble Nebula, okay? But they are spewing a lot of stellar winds of their own. Those are very powerful winds and radiation. And what that does is it erodes away gas and pushes gas away. Now, if there's areas of density, okay, those are resilient, and those hang on, and they protect what's behind them. So that's why we see this protected what's behind it, this, but it protects what's behind it, this protects what's behind it. Okay, these are pillars. We notice they always point toward the bright, hot, central stars that cause this. This is how this works. All right. So now let's just do one thing here. Let's see where it wants to go. It's probably not going to go very, very different. It's going to drop it down. So it takes it down to the less noisy region, okay? Because technically it's not ready to be viewed without with the noise we're seeing, right? But that looks pretty, doesn't it? I like just a little bit more in here. So we're gonna put that over here. We're gonna move this level here, and at least have that much. So it's still not that noisy, but it really looks nice. Again, the Pac-Man Nebula. We have 15 shots now. We're gonna save it, and save it exactly as seen. Okay. Okay. And now, what we'll do is we're gonna move on. If you have any questions about the Pac-Man, let me know. All right. We're going to go now to the next item, next object. It's really cool. All right. And that object we're going to look at is one that was requested by Donald Kunzer. And we're going to look at that. Let me just do this. Okay, why is that not doing the... Oh, maybe it did it. Okay, it's 4 seconds. We don't want that. We want 1 second. Why is it doing that? I'm typing the number 1, but it doesn't do it. So let's just delete all that. Okay, actually, I know how to do this. We got a little issue with this. Okay, maybe not. Okay, 1 second. Here's what we got. There we go. Okay, and then we maximize this value to show us that right there. Okay, and we are at 29%. We're gonna zoom out a little bit more. Now what we'll do is back away from this cluster and nebula, and we're gonna go over here now. We're gonna go, I'll show you where I'm going. Actually, what was that right down here? Oh, the little dumbbell. Oh, that's cool. I haven't seen this one. M76. We got to go there. Sorry. I was going to go to the Andromeda Galaxy. Donald, please forgive me. Okay, because what we want to do is see this little guy. This is sort of like a dumbbell nebula, but tiny. And I've never seen it in this telescope. And we need to. Alright, I'm going to just do a quick guiding. I'm only going to do a few exposures. I promise I won't do many. Okay. And we have our stars. We're going to start guiding. Alright, there we go. That looks like it could do better in the guiding, but we'll see how that works. Okay. Alright, this one we're going to do a 25-second shot. Alright. And we're then going to set the target name. I could let it do it, but I'm going to, yeah, I got to change that guide star. Alright, M76, which is a PN, a planetary nebula. Alright. And, yeah, okay, see the wind hit that. Okay. This will be a fuzzy shot, probably. Alright. Let's grab another guide star. That's a little better. That's better. Okay. Yeah, see, it was doing that crazy stuff. Okay. So now we're guiding on a more solid star. We can guide do the stack now, and I'm gonna dock for now because the object's kind of small. It's exceedingly small in our wide field scope, but look at that, the little dumbbell, the beautiful red star over there. Okay, that is a beautiful object, and right now we have more to see, so I'm gonna back this off the peak, put it out here, and you can see this amazing swoop of structure out here, and then you see this very solid area here, red there, kind of like the Dumbbell Nebula. The dumbbell looks like this too, except this is a little bit wider of an hourglass shape at the top and bottom with that particular with the actual dumbbell. This one's probably further away. I don't remember how far away it is. Let's go look. Okay, let's bring it in. Little dumbbell, its distance is 2,400 light years away, which is a little further than the Measure 27 dumbbell that we looked at earlier. Not tonight, but at other times. All right. Now, we'll color correct this too to get the stars or sky looking black. There we go. That's the proper color. Look at the detail. Wow. Now, this right here is still too far to the left. We actually need to move this down to soften up the noise in here. And as it comes in a little better, it'll look perfect. So here's what's going on with this. This is the thing that I want to show you. This guy is what's called a bipolar nebula. Bipolar meaning not it's misbehaving, but bipolar meaning that the top to bottom side here, this is probably the equatorial region. This is probably the north polar regions, north and south polar regions of the star. So it might be on an angle like that. All right, that's possible. And the star might also be wobbling as it rotates. It's probably a rotator, which means that it's spewing stuff from the center down to here, and then from the center up to here. And then that changes as the star changes its wobble over the years or over time. And so over time, it deposits stuff in a semi-hourglass shape, kind of like the dumbbell does. Really neat how this works. So this beautiful object then could be the result of rotating star, and we see hydrogen out here, very, very prominent. And then this stuff here, this teal blue mixed in with red, as you can see here a little bit, that stuff is actually doubly ionized oxygen. I told you how hydrogen is the most prominent and most copious element in the universe. Oxygen is the third most copious, abundant object in the element in the universe. So it stands to reason that there'll be a lot of oxygen in these objects that we're looking at in the night sky, and there are. Daisy and Zoe Amethyst says, we must bow out. Sorry, apologies. Important meeting first thing in the morning. Well, then go, man. So good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in while you could. That's very, very nice. You know, and we'll see you on the next one, okay, guys? So have a good night. Hein Sherry's with us. Hello, Hein. How are you? And then let's see. Corey Williams. Hey, Corey. And Corey says, so humbling to think about how far away things are in space. I know, Corey. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. This here, 2,400 years ago, it looked like this. It may not look like this now, but that's how it looks right this second. Okay? So that is an interesting and clear difference, okay, in what might look like right now instantaneously. We see the universe as a time machine, you know, so we don't see objects as they are. We see them as they were. You see the sun every day in the sky. You see that as it was 8 minutes ago. Okay, 8 minutes ago. That's how long it takes the light from the sun to reach us. If there's someone out right now, we wouldn't know it for 8 minutes. Okay? So that train of light would still be coming to us from space. Well, such is the case for this. We see the same thing. Let's go look at that red star in our planetarium program. And we come in here. All right, come down here. And is that the red star? No. Oh, this is it right here. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, so this is a star. It's a known star. It's Hipparchus object 8063. You can see in the upper right corner, upper left corner here. Also known as Henry Draper catalog. More catalogs. 10498. Or the Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory catalog, where it's 22551. Why do we do that? Why do we have these like that? Why do we do this all the time? We have multiple catalog names. Because astronomy consists of lots of scientists doing work all over the world. And so the catalogs tend to do their best to catalog everything, and sometimes they overlap. Okay, and that's what we're seeing here. This is a K5 star. Now that means it's probably K5 star, fusing hydrogen normally into helium. All right, and because there's no other designation, it just says K5, does not give the luminosity class, whether it's a K5 Roman numeral 3, Roman numeral 1A, which is a massive supergiant. Okay, we don't get that, but it is a K5, and the star is, like I said, it's designated as a K, meaning it's an orange star. So if we color correct this, okay, the outer fringes show kind of an orangey color, a little bit of red in there. But look at this. This is really pretty. Let's see if we can darken our sky just a little more. Yes, we can. We can write up that curve a little more. Okay, let's do that. Right up the curve. Look at that. Beautiful. Now, let's overprocess over here on the right, up here. Let's overprocess and see what else might be hiding out there. Okay, so this object is pretty well confined to this space, but notice there's a loop out here beyond this first loop. And there's a loop out here beyond this loop. So we see that there's been multiple expulsions of material off the star. That is cool. So let's see if we can find those in our proper look here. Now I can start to see them right there, but let's kind of brighten things up here. Let's push this. This is called pushing. We move these curves closer to each other. Let's do this. Oh yeah, look. You can see this now. Let's zoom in on that. Okay, look at that. There it is. So here is the inner loops, and here's the outer loop. Here's the outer loop. Let's see if we can bring that in even further. We might get noisier, but let's do it. Yep. And you can see that now. It's green, indicating it is oxygen out here. So there it is, and we have this strange knot of material right here. Can't tell what that was from, but we see a lot of detail in here that we've never seen in this object before. Again, thanks to this. Now we can even take this a little further in, just to kind of do what we shouldn't do, but to highlight. Now if we move in, it approximates what you'd see in different types of telescopes. So you might see this in like an 8-inch telescope, okay, minus these objects here. Right, in a smaller telescope, you're gonna be, and this is again just an approximation, you're gonna see something more like that, maybe a bright core. See all this detail? You need Sky Tour, baby. I'm kidding, obviously. But you need a bigger scope and a dedicated wacko willing to stay up with you late at night. All right. So there you go. So that is this object. That's the proper color right there. Okay, so we're going to save this now at 23 objects, 23 stacked images. Save exactly as seen. That'll be up on the server in just a couple of minutes. Not even, a few seconds, I should say. And now, coming back here, okay, let's go back now and do what Donald Kunzer asked for as a last view for the evening. And that's going to be a view of the Andromeda Galaxy up here. And we're going to go to the nucleus of the galaxy first. And once we get to the nucleus of the galaxy, we're going to move out to different locations. There goes the telescope on its way, moving. Okay, and the galaxy is right there. You can see it in the view already. Excellent. All right. And so what we'll do is we're going to grab that object. All right. There we are. And we're going to center the view. There we are. Okay, that's the nucleus of the galaxy. All right. And so now what we'll do is we're going to come in here. Right. And we're going to center up on that guy. So we're now in the middle of this galaxy right there. Okay. So now what we can do is we can take a visit, okay, to an area that is really amazing. And that is this area. This is an area of hot blue stars. It's called an OB association region. And we're going to go there. So the telescope's going to shift down galaxy to this little location. All right. And it's going to show us some really neat stuff out in that region. All right. So let me come back in here. Oh, I know why. Let's do it this way. All right. So there we go. Shifting down galaxy. Doesn't look like much has changed, but it has. And so what we're going to do is we're going to guide here. First of all, let me just do a quick 10-second photo. That should be enough to show me exactly where we are. Make sure we're in the right exact spot. Because this is going to show us the arm of the galaxy. I can kind of see it here, but it might be there too. And if that's it, that's okay too. Let's find out. Okay, should have done more than 10 seconds. But actually, these are the stars right here. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. This is all within the spiral arms of the galaxy. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go to our 1 second mode really quick and keep this here. And we're going to move this OB association up here. Okay. So we're going to do this. We're going to move it over. All right. Okay. I guess we just flipped upside down. So that was important to realize. Okay, there we go. Alrighty. Okay. So now our OB association is kind of right there. You can see it. And I'd like to actually put us in a better spot. So let's try this a little higher. Did I not do it right? I think I went the wrong. I went the other left. And the other. There we go. Okay. So right now it's right here. All right. And that's kind of where we want it. So this is now going to show us hot blue stars 2.4 million light years away. All right. And that's what we're looking at here. And what we're going to do is we're going to start guiding on this. All right. And first let's actually do this. Let's grab our stars first. There we go. And then set our guiding. Grab our guide stars. There we go. Perfect. Those are going to guide very nicely. All right. And we'll come back here. And now we're going to do a 35-second set of photos. All right. We're going to see this hot OB association, O and B type stars. O stars hottest and bluest, B stars next in line, and then it goes to OBAFGKM. So OBAFGKM, we're a G-type star. And we're going to see this amazing panoply unfold before us. And I'm going to take the chance that it's looking good, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to put it right about there, because we're going to be seeing this momentarily. As usual, I left that out. Okay. Oh yeah, there we go. So this is our OB association. What we want to do is want to start guiding again and clear that, because we weren't that exposure was coming in, and we were still setting up the guider when the exposure was coming in. Okay, so this one will be a perfect exposure in all likelihood. Okay, here we go. 1 second. Here we are. That's good. It's perfect. And so this is our OB association. And as it comes in, you're going to see many interesting things. Every one of these stars you see in here, okay, except the very, 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 very faint ones, are up here in our galaxy. And then everything beyond it is 2.4 million light years away. And 2.4 million light years away is nothing to sneeze at. You think about what was happening on Earth 2.4 million years ago, and we're right in the middle of our hominid evolution. Lucy was 4.2 million years ago, and so 2.4 million years ago, or 2.4 million years ago, we were partway up our ladder of hominid evolution toward Homo sapiens sapiens, which is where we are now. And to us, that's distant past. But to the galaxy, that light we're seeing left there at that point in our history on the Earth, long before humans ever came about. The light left this galaxy. Pretty cool. I really like those types of understandings and so forth. Really cool, neato stuff. Donald Kunzer goes, groovy. Okay, and James Dugan says it's got dingo in its name. I know you have we had a dingo. It died, unfortunately. We had a dingo. She was a great little dingo, beautiful dog. And she did pass, unfortunately, but that's okay. You know, we tend to outlive our pets, and you got to be ready to just give them a good life. You know, so we're darkening this up now. There we go. Look at that. We have 4 frames stacked here. We let this do this. It's gonna, do that and kind of try to push it. Neat, and we'll fire up the color correction here. Not much was done, which is good. All that dark stuff you see there, that's dust millions of light years away in this other galaxy. We're going to drop this down here to lessen some of the noise. I'll actually bring it back a little. Look at that. Okay, so this cluster of hot stars, we don't want to be anywhere near that, because this region, this OB association here, is an area where ultraviolet energy was just incredibly permeating this entire region. So we can say pretty confidently that there was probably no life that has developed in here at this point with the light we're seeing it. Now, some of these stars in the intervening time most likely have gone supernova. So if we watch this region of the Andromeda Galaxy, undoubtedly we'll probably see a supernova at some point, because again, 2.4 million years is how old this light is, and none of the stars went supernova yet. So what that means, and that we can tell, all right. So what that means is that these stars that are hot and blue, they only live a few million years. So if there's a really massive one there, it might go off after a couple million years. So maybe the light train showing some supernovae from that region are already on their way to us. Woohoo! You know, that's pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna call this Andromeda OB Association. O and B stars. Okay, here we go. And we have a few stacked right now. We have 8 stacked, and I'm going to just save it as it is for now, and then save exactly as seen. And then pop out so you can see the whole thing. Yeah, that's an amazing location. It's interesting to think, that we're actually peering inside a galaxy. We're looking within the galaxy. And if we come here to our planetarium, you can see kind of where we're peering. All right, we're actually over here. Okay, looking within the galaxy right here. Okay, looking at this bright OB association right here. Now, you can see this spiral arm as well in here. All right, here it is. You can't miss that spiral arm. Okay, really impressive. And let's see, let's go back to this for a second. You look at this, it's upside down, remember, so you have to turn your head almost, you know, this way in order to look at that square correctly. And that's why this curve is going the way it's going. The center of the galaxy is to the lower right in this image, and that's to the lower right. So the center is down here somewhere. So this curve is correct. All right? That is something else. Now, as time has gone on, you can start to resolve some of the areas out here, and these are some of the brighter areas, and we're actually resolving some of the bright knots of nebulae that are in this OB association. Also notice there's little red smudges every now and then, like here and here. Okay, there's a faint one here. Okay, these are nebulae in this distant galaxy. We're looking at what might be the Orion Nebula of the Andromeda Galaxy right here. Okay, maybe that's what would be considered the same thing as the the Orion Nebula, if we could go look at it. Kind of cool. Okay. We have all this dark dust in our galaxy, the same kind of thing as well. That's what our Milky Way is. When you see the knots of dark black, that's actually the Milky Way in our galaxy, with its dark dust lanes. All that dark dust comes from supergiant red stars, and from supernovae that occur. And the supernovae and those giant stars have a way of actually moving stuff around in a galaxy. Everything orbits the galaxy, so everything in this galaxy is orbiting this galaxy. Okay, they're going around the center of the galaxy. We have in ours, we've gone around the center of our galaxy about 19 and a half times since we formed in our solar system. And 3I Atlas, which is on its way through our solar system right now, came from somewhere else, exterior. It's extrasolar, extraterrestrial object. Well, that came in, and as it came into our galaxy, into our solar system, we discovered that its age was very, very high relative to our solar system. We've been here only 4.5 billion years. Well, it looks like 3I Atlas is 7 billion years old. All right, almost twice the age of our solar system. So that's really fascinating to see that and fathom that. And it's moving 130,000 miles per hour. It passed Mars October 3rd. It's going to pass Venus next at about I think 60 million miles from it. Past Mars by 18 million miles. Jupiter, it's going to pass by, I forget the miles on that, but it's going to pass Jupiter on the way out. Now, we photographed it with this very telescope. We photographed 3I Atlas, and we had a star field in Sagittarius at the time, and you could see a tiny dash appear, and that dash was the time exposed image of the moving 3i Atlas as it moved through. It was moving 1.4 arc seconds, okay, per minute. So at that distance, so at that region, at that distance, we were able to see it move over a period of a few minutes as we exposed this area in Sagittarius. We could see a little dash appear, and that was really cool to see it. Donald Kunzer says, the dark region in the center, there's a hand-shaped object just to the upper left. Are you talking about, you're talking about this dark region? And a hand-shaped object. You're talking about this? That kind of looks like a hand with what look like fingers. Is that what you're talking about, Donald? That is those are strings of dark dust, actually, in this distant galaxy. And I think you're talking about this object. It kind of does look like a hand at this point, doesn't it? I'm going to guess that's what you're talking about, because it does look like a hand. Okay, let's try a little bit now, because we've got 18 stacked. Okay, we're going to drop this down a little bit, knock out some of the noise. And your hand sort of vanished a little bit. Lori says, lots of CMEs happening behind the sun. Yeah, we do have a view of the sun that's unprecedented. So we can see some really cool stuff that's coming off the sun. Okay, and he says, no, it's small and just under the pointer, which I just moved on you, sorry. Oh, unless it's this thing. Tell me if that's the thing you're talking about. This is a nebula, a diffuse nebula cloud. So you must mean this then, I guess, Donald. We're a little delayed time-wise, so I'll kind of wait it out and say the pointer should be pointing to it right now. Hein Sherry says to C&D Boy, Pac-Man Nebula's upper shape was similar to Hokkaido, and the lower shape was similar to Israel-Palestine map. Okay, that's interesting. All true. One Hunter says, warmer. Oh boy. Unless you're not talking about the actual OB association, are you? But he said I was warmer up there. Well, we're not going to figure it out because your mind can show you all kinds of things. I will say this. Here's another beautiful red nebular region here. You can start to almost resolve some of the stars in here. Look at that. All right, now they're very far away, so we're seeing tight clusters of stars. Okay, we're not seeing individuals. We can see, however, individual globular clusters in this galaxy. So, like that little fuzzy object up there under the cursor right up here may or may not be, this may be a globular cluster in the Andromeda Galaxy. Okay, and we can see those. We can actually see those. This one might be one too. The Hubble Space Telescope would be able to show us better. I'll go call the Hubble team and have them just turn the Hubble to it right now. I wish I had that ability. But look how beautiful this is coming out now. It's resolving really nicely. Look at that. It's generally blue in here because hot young stars are forming in this region, and they tend to scatter dust in the blue. The dust actually scatters the blue light from those stars. Let's do this and see if this can help us out. Yeah, we're getting better now. Look at that. Wow. That's incredible. Now this is 23 images stacked right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save it before we lose it for some reason. We haven't lost anything before. We'll save it exactly as seen as well. Alright. Look at that. Really nice. It's still a little noisy, but the more images we stack, the less the noise shows up. And we can approximate that by coming over here and taking this mid-level and moving it down. So we'll do this. Move it way down. And you'll see that the noise drops, but so does the detail a little bit. Okay. But sometimes that's helpful to show all the many complicated, complex regions in this galaxy. Because we did that, we can now see this red easier, this red easier, this red area easier, this nebula easier. Okay, this dark nebula starting to really showcase itself really nicely. This out here, look at that. Oh, it just gets crazy good. And in terms of enhancement, let's actually see if we can increase the enhancement. Okay, so I just sharpened the detail in here a little more, and it kind of adds a little noise, but it actually helps us see some of the detail in this structure. Now this stuff is more filamentary and stands out a lot more. Look at that, huh? That's incredible stuff. Wowee. All right. All right, so we'll save this here at this point. 27 shots. Okay, save exactly as seen. Now, this is the image you'll get. It's actually the actual image you get. But if you do want noise-free images where all the modeling noise that we see here is removed entirely, you can join our Patreon. There's different levels, and you'll get images like this that are just pristine and gorgeous at the higher levels. And if you just want to get pictures, go to SkyTour Shop right here, and skytourlive.org, I mean, and scroll down, and you go to a professional art gallery where you can get these framed under glass. Get them on canvas, get them on metal even, and it's just beautiful. Or just get prints on paper if you want. And we have all that available to you. And if you want them on products that are cool, you can get a moon clock. You can get a mug that has all kinds of different nebulae on it, different mugs. You can get boxer shorts. You can get shoes. You can get shirts and all kinds of things. If you want our latest SkyTour Livestream shirt that we have, the front has our SkyTour Livestream logo. The back has the 9 planets on that. That's right, you heard me, 9 planets. Pluto's on there too, because Pluto was a planet. And it says in between the ring of planets, I need my space. That's on the back of the shirt. So if you want that, contact us at skytourlive.org. And for a $25 donation, you get a shirt. Specify a size, and we'll send you that size. Okay. This is sort of like a telethon, isn't it? You know, except that we don't say give us $300 and we'll send you a mug. Nah. I don't know why a mug at $300 on these I don't get it. A mug. For $300 you should get a painting. You should get something cool. You know? Alright, so here we go. I'll save it now one more time. 31 images. I wanted to go to 30, so we're good. Save exactly as seen. Again, the big stars we see here, these are in our foreground galaxy, and the fuzz is in the background galaxy. And this convoluted, clustery mess of O and B stars is 2.4 million light years away, and we're seeing it 2.4 million years ago. Fantastic stuff. Wow. Okay, I think we went to 32. Yeah, we did, so I'll save it one more time. Well, there you go, guys. That was fun tonight. We got to see some really cool stuff. You know. Now, the last thing I'll do before we go to sleep for the night is let's go see if we can see Comet Swan before it's too late. Okay. Comet Lemon is too low, but let's just check out Comet Swan one more time. We started with Comet Swan, we'll end with Comet Swan. So we're at, let's see what this is at. This is at 33 images. We're going to save one more time, save exactly a scene, and then get out of this. Say goodnight to the Andromeda Galaxy, and we're happy that we could intercept that light that took 2.4 million years to get here, and we're probably the only ones that saw it. All right, let's go to our low light mode and head over to Swan territory, shall we? Okay. And this will be our last object. I know I said that Andromeda Galaxy was our last object, but I lied. Not really. Okay. So Swan should be here very quickly. Oh, we're actually rotating around. Yeah. Okay. Just a minute. It's gonna come in. Let's go see where we are looking. Here we go. Alright, we should just have lined up on it with all that swinging around. I'm surprised we have stars. Okay, and now what we'll do is we'll go here and center it up. Alright, so Swan will appear now in the middle, and it'll still look like a fuzzy, there it is, right there. So let's do a quick 20-second photo. Actually, no, not even. Let's just do a 15-second photo, because we don't need more than that with Swan. It's a very bright object. And we'll start stacking it right away. And it won't be perfect, but I think it will be good enough. So let's do this. Let's get our guide star. Go to town. This one might not be perfectly round. No, how about that? It is. Okay, that's nice. All right, and we're guiding now too, so that's good. So there's Swan. All right, and we've got two that are done here, and in that time, look at it's moved in just that time. So Swan is a rapid moving object in our sky, and so I say this all the time, but I'm going to burn it into your heads. When we look at stuff like this, we have to consider that objects like Swan showcase how the universe is dynamic and changing. And the object 3i Atlas, along with Oumuamua, which was 1I, meaning interstellar, first interstellar object, 1I Oumuamua, and then 2I Borisov, which was a comet that came in. That object plus 3i Atlas put enough concern into the folks that manage planetary defense that they created what's called a live fire exercise, and you'll hear about this. And the people that are somewhat unscrupulous will try to convince you that 3i Atlas is heading right for Earth, and so we have to create a live fire exercise to protect ourselves. In fact, we don't. Okay, 3i Atlas is going to be literally 170 million miles from us at its closest. Okay, look at the size of the dash. It's not a cylinder. It's just moving so fast that a 25-second or 15-second shot shows it already as a small dash. To see this better, we can actually do a 5-second shot. It'll be dimmer, but we'll clear it and watch what a 5-second shot shows us now. It'll look almost like an object that we can see as a regular source, a regular point source. Okay. But even so, it's still just a little bit elongated. And I'm going to put this over here. Right? And then come down here. Let me get rid of this. Well, that's already gone. We'll come down here now. Let's move this out of the way. Way down. That's a 5-second photograph. 5-second exposure. That's about the best we're going to do with this. Well, there we go. Let's probably need a 10-second photo. But probably better. We need more data. More data, Mr. Data. So we'll clear this and bring that in and check it out. Okay. And here we're going to do this. Okay. And I'm going to, noise is a little too high here. So I'm going to go down to 150, clear this again. And we changed the settings midstream here. So we're going to wait for this next one to come in. There we go. That's better. And we'll color correct that to kind of make the background a little better color, proper color. There we are. So this is a 10-second shot of this object now. Comet Swan R2 is looking rather nice. So there we go. That's Comet Swan. I'll actually add it in anyway. Not vomit, it's Comet. I said I wrote vomit. That's crazy. Comet Swan. Alright, and that's R2. Alright, and we'll save it. I'm not guiding on it, so I just wanted to get the instantaneous image of it. Okay. Well, this has been great, guys. We've had a lot of fun. I'm really happy that you guys chose to put your trust in me to take you on a tour of the night sky. Daryl will be back probably the next time. And I hope very much that you guys will give us a thumbs up and spread to all your friends. Tell them what you think. Tell them, hey, look, it's so cheap to join the Patreon. Or, you know, go to skytourlive.org and hang out and see what we do. Or just hang out for free and get all the free, low-res pictures that we provide for free to you, as you're seeing every time we take these pictures. Okay? That's all cool stuff, all available to you. And what we'll do now is just to show you the closeout procedure. We're gonna I'll do the closeout. I'll show you because I've never shown you the closeout yet. Okay, so this is our telescope system. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell it to go into its parked position. It's gonna be a position that we use. Now, first things first, just to make sure we don't get it yelling at us, I'm gonna stop the guiding. Okay, and so now we can go into a park position. All right, and the telescope is now going to move around and spin around. There we go. And it's going into a park position where it's closing for the night. All right, so what we do is this. We can show you this. Look at the stars. It's actually pretty cool. And there it goes. Alright, so here we are. And we are in our parked position. It shows us parked position. So I can disconnect the telescope now. Telescope's disconnected. I can even close that. And at this point, I bring up my program that connects to all the hardware out there. I tell it now that the power's, we don't need a telescope, we can turn the power off. So the power is now off. Camera's shut down. And then we can close the roof. And there it goes. I just started that process. And you can hear it. There it goes. The roof is closing. 2,600 miles away, out in Benson. And the roof's coming right for us. But that's actually where the camera's facing. Alright, so we're done for the evening. You saw the closeout procedure. I thought I would show you that since we haven't shown you that before. So I hope you guys have a good evening. And we will return probably in the next, every other day we try to go, because trying to go every day is kind of tough. But we'll go kind of every other day. So we're all closed out. Everything is closed out. Telescope is snug in its bed. And we can close everything up. And we're good. So you guys, thank you for coming out. Hope you enjoyed the closeout so you can see what we did. And I'll check the chat later to see if I missed any questions and maybe bring them up to you later on. But thank you for joining us tonight, guys. It was fun to see you. Fun to have you join us tonight. And we'll see you on the very next live stream. So good night, everybody. And keep looking up. Bye-bye.
Stars so bright in the sky. On Arizona nights they fly. Nebulae in colors rare. Galaxies beyond compare. Sky tour in the night so clear. Brings the universe near. Real-time wonders to see. Streaming light for you and me. Lift your eyes to the skies. Universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views. Every night feels brand new. In the dark, the night unfolds. Stories of the cosmos told. Through the lens, a distant dream. Living real like a gleam. Far away, up so high. Across the stars beyond the skull. Through the lens, a distant dream. Living real like a gleam. Lift your eye up so high. Across the stars beyond the sky. Sky tour shows us the way. Every night a new display. Lift your eyes to the skies. Universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views. Every night feels brand new. Lift your eyes to the skies. Universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views. Every night feels brand